need your eyes up here. Ladies and gentlemen, I need your eyes up here. Thank you. So, what was the key thing that took place on page 85? I should see everyone, if you don't know the answer, you should be looking back. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds just to make sure we're clear, we're on the same page with what happened. Everyone should be looking on page 85 silently. When you find it, I want you to circle what that key thing is that happened. I need your eyes here, guys. I love how I'm seeing you guys looking back on page 85. What line best reveals this key thing that takes place? Alright, let's come together in 3, 2, and 1. Anything you got an answer for us? What's that? They found it, which means what happens? Like, what's that? That line, the troubles were at last ended. Yep. In that third paragraph, it says, yes, she replied. All the women shouted with joy because Ekwefi's troubles were at last ended. That line right there, hold on. Hands raised, please, if you guys have to make a comment. Ekwefi's troubles were at last ended is the key thing that happens. That's where that conflict gets resolved. Questions about that before we move on? Questions about that before we move on? Yeah, who's alive? Azima or Ekwefi? Mm-hmm. Yep.
You say wifey.
You got it. Sounds like that. Okay, so right now I'd like to see everybody taking out 3 things. You should have your book out already in front of you, so that'll be easy. Make sure your journal is out and your homework tracker. You see everyone taking out their homework tracker. If you do not have one of these things, you should be raising your hand so I can come check in with you. And I should see everybody holding their homework right now up on the board. I should see everybody just silently writing down their homework right now. Thank you guys for getting that stuff out. Those of you guys who are really like keeping track of your homework trackers are going to be in good shape. Remember, homework is a big part of your grade, and it's honestly something that I know we're at that part of the year where we're struggling a little bit to get our homework taken care of. This is going to help remind you of what you need. So, I'm going to go over some announcements, and then I'm going to get to any questions about this information. So, first of all, your vocab quiz is Friday. I know we spent a lot of the time in the first couple weeks looking at vocab. If you haven't reviewed your vocab recently, you should be taking out your flashcards. You should be looking back at your old work. I'm actually going to pass back a lot of those things to you today, once we get to independent practice. Your portfolio was due yesterday. If you have not turned that in, you need to come see me, or if you have no idea what it is, come see me after class, and we can talk about it. I can make sure. But it is 15% of your grade, so it's certainly something that you're going to want to make sure that you come see me about.
What come tomorrow?
Tomorrow is fine too, but just know that the later we wait, the more points we're losing on that assignment. Independent practice check-ins. I've got a list of your names up on the board. Totally random. I'm not picking on anybody. They're just students I feel like I haven't had an opportunity to check in with recently. And I'm just checking with you to make sure you're clear on today's objective and that your grade is okay. So again, some students I've been talking to a fair amount recently. Other ones I just won't be able to get to today because I obviously can't check in with every single one of you today. Your names will go up there the rest of the week, and until we get to that benchmark, we continue to check in with you guys individually. Lastly, Nobel Prizes. You know, your lovely yellow sheets.
I don't even get them out.
You gotta be patient with these things. They're expensive. So if you haven't got one recently, make sure you're super focused today, like you guys have been. We'll be getting these good questions. Not right now. I'm going to deal with that in independent practice. One more. What's that? Redeem them outside. Remember, redeem them outside of class time for extra credit or for homework class. Okay. So today, I need your eyes up here, sound up here in 3, 2, and 1. Wait for a few more eyes. Wait for a couple more eyes. Thank you. So today we're getting set up for corner. Up here for 1 second. You do not need to write this down. Just give me your eyes and ears up here. Identify and explain a theme in chapter 9. This is the big open-ended response that we're doing tomorrow. You're going to need to find a theme. So today, we're going to be finding some of those examples, starting to defend them, and then you'll be formally writing this down tomorrow. So, I want to give you a quick little example. As you can tell, I'm from the 70s, and back in the era of disco and a lot of this action, there was this one day where I decided to go out and do a little disco dancing, and unfortunately, I hadn't really practiced a whole lot. And so when I went out there, my moves kind of looked like this, and I got embarrassed on the dance floor, and when I was talking to this girl, she just walked away, and it was really sad. And then, 2 weeks later, I was practicing, I had my moves down, and I went out there, I was doing my hip thrust and all that stuff, and I had it all taken care of. And, you know, just say, things turned out nicely for me since then. And I've been happily married ever since. So, I'm not married, I'm just messing with you. But the big message from that, the thing that I learned, is the importance of practice. There was a theme, there was a message, there was a big idea from that experience. And today we're going to look at some of those things right now. So, make sure that you have out this piece of paper that you picked up from the bin. Everyone make sure that this is sitting out in front of you. Take about 5 seconds. Just silently make sure that this is out in front of you, and if it's not, you know where to get it. Can you give me a minute? Check it first. Here, go through this. So, we're going to go over a section of Things Fall Apart today, and we're going to really make sure that we've identified some of the big ideas in that section. So I want you to take a look at these starters and these big ideas. For me, my experience, you guys can write this down on the top of the page so you have it easily memorable. I said that the importance of practice.
Practice?
The importance of practice. You guys can write that at the very top of your page. The theme, this big idea, this big takeaway, based on the experiences and the feelings that we have. So same thing in the story. We're going to use theme starters and big ideas. And I want you to start today by really focusing in on what are some of the big ideas that we've seen so far in Things Fall Apart. So, what are some of these ideas? I want you to just take a few seconds, start looking through these. I actually want you to just call these out. So when you see something on here that you're like, this is definitely showing up in Things Fall Apart, go ahead and call it out. Death, pain, suffering, desire, culture, depression, violence. Notice how a lot of these are showing up, right?
Pain.
Some of them, alright, so let's come together.
Anxiety.
Some of these have come up more often than other ones. But we're going to look now and find out what are those big ideas in these sections. So let's look at the first example. We're going to go to page 75. I want everyone to open up to 75. We're going to silently walk you through this first example. If you have questions, raise your hand.
No, in your notebook.
Page 75, everybody. So, what's been going on this page? This is right after. Get a couple more of you guys open up to your book. So here, why don't you just get us set up for this? Thank you.
Okanko finally start sleeping through the night. After eating the food on the strip.
Yeah. So he's finally getting over that experience. And so, what is one of the big ideas that might come out of that? You might say sleep, but I don't think sleep is really that big of an idea. I don't think that's a big important idea, like what you might see on here. There are some other ones that I think might come up. I want you guys to just take 10 seconds, silently look for what you think might connect here. Just circle it if you see it. Hands down right now. I should see everyone silently looking through those big ideas. So there are a couple of these that might match. There are also, I want to encourage you guys to think beyond the box and go beyond this list too. The one that I thought really connected here, and this has come from my own head, right? It wasn't even in on that list, is recovery. Make sure you're writing down the word recovery. This is the big idea where we see Okanko starting to recover from his situation. He's recovering from the challenges. See, everybody write this down. He's recovering from the challenges of losing someone who is basically a son to him. Where do we see this? Where do we see this? I pulled, actually, and I'm guessing that you guys probably looked at the same thing, something that we were looking at yesterday. For the first time in 3 nights, Okonkwo slept. Notice how we've got words like, this is the first time, and then he finally sleeps. This shows me that he's slowly, it's taken him a while to get there, but he's actually recovered. So now, we need to come up with our theme. We need to match that big idea with one of the starters. I want to give you guys 5 more seconds here to just jot this down. Thank you, Tam, for writing this down, Sam. Thank you, Keyshawn, for getting down the quote. Love that I see Keith is making sure that he's getting this down in proper citation, so that it's got the quotation marks around it, and the page. Okay, let me get your eyes up here in 3, 2, alright. I'm going to jump back, I'm going to come back to this in a second, so if you didn't get it written down, just be patient. So, we now need to figure out what of these might match. So we're looking at, our big idea is what, everybody? What is the big idea that we see right here? I only heard one person say it. Recovery.
I have my hair in.
What was it? So we're looking at recovery. What we need to figure out is our starter. So, are we talking about the benefit, and just hold your voices right now, think through this with me. Are we looking at the benefit? Ladies, gentlemen, I need you up here. The benefit of recovery? Are we looking at the joy of recovery?
Yeah.
The power of recovery? What are we looking at here? I'm going to give you one of these words that I think some of us might not know, is inevitability. The inevitability of recovery. Does anyone know what inevitable means?
No.
You just raise your hand if you know what inevitable means.
Explain it, I don't.
So here, help us out.
The ability to do something. I don't know what the first part
Ability? Not so much. Not so much.
Can you explain it, please?
Inevitable. Has anyone heard that word before?
I heard.
Let's do a quick context. If you work hard in school, graduating is inevitable.
Something that's guaranteed?
Something that's guaranteed is going to happen. Inevitability means it's going to happen. So recovery here is inevitable. And the way I want to explain that, I need to now write that one last sentence. This is really what I'm looking for exactly for you guys today. The page, what big idea is there, where do you see that big idea, and the theme that comes out of it. And then explain it. Okonkwo was depressed after killing Igumafuna, just like Zakir was saying, but he finally feels better about it. So I should see everybody completely writing down this full first example. I'm just walking around right now to check and make sure that you have that down. Everyone you should have all of this information up on your page. So I've got my theme and my explanation in that last column. Questions? Didn't Okonkwo kill Igumafuna? Yes, he did.
So why is it? I don't understand. Why? Do you put him away or something?
So why? Briefly, because I want to get to our practice here, guys. We have a short day, so I'm just going to give you the quick answer to that one. Listen closely. Igumafuna was like a son to Okonkwo, but Okonkwo felt in the moment like he had to prove his masculinity. He had to prove himself as a man, and that's why he killed Igumafuna. But just like if you killed somebody, like no matter your relationship with them, you're probably going to feel bad about that situation, right? No one really wants to take someone's life. So I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. Make sure that you've written down this complete example. 4, and I should see everyone starting to look at page 76. Turn to page 76. Everyone silently turning to page 76 right now. Any big questions? I thought Arlene's question was great to clarify. Are there any other questions that you guys want to check in about before we move on? This hand's raised, silently hand is raised. Okay. So we're going to do a turn and talk in a moment, but the first thing I want you to do is look on page 76. write down in the margins any big ideas that you see. Write down where you see those big ideas. So you should try to come up with at least 3 or 4. You have 1 minute, 30 seconds. Do this silently. Come up with any of those big ideas. Write them into the margin. Look back at your list. Refer back to your list if you have questions. What big ideas do you see? Dr. Man, you guys are working super hard. I love your focus right now. Good job. So, in about 45 seconds, I should see these words written on the margins of page 76.
I had to put it in, but it was. Okay, any words you want?
Any of the words, obviously guys, we're looking for those big idea words. So you should be choosing from those left two, or the right two columns.
We can make up our own words.
If you guys have other words that you want to refer to, like I did with recovery, that's totally fine. But this is where you should be pulling one of these words whenever you see an idea coming up. This is going to help you find that theme. Be prepared to defend these too. So you should be asking yourself questions like, is this about aging? Is this about depression? Is this about love? What is this about? You should be silently jotting down those words for credit. In order to get credit, I should see you guys writing down the word that's the big idea. So take 10 more seconds.
Yeah.
I should see those words written on your page. If you're not writing words down, I can't know that you're learning. Make a guess about an idea that you see. Alright, let's check in 3, 2, I need your silence, your eyes up here in 1. So go ahead and just put your books down for a second, and your eyes for 1 moment. Okay, I know some of you guys were a little confused with this. What I want you to do is turn and talk with a neighbor. So someone by you, I want you to share your big ideas with the neighbor. And if you didn't find one, I want you to find a neighbor who has one and be ready to share. Because I'm gonna, excuse me, 1 second, you're not starting. Oh wait. Gentlemen, wait 1 moment. I've not given the direction to go. We're silent. I need you up here in 3, 2. So, defending it is the key part. Share your idea and defend it. If you don't find anybody, make sure that you're moving if you need to. Talk through this with the neighbor to participate and go ahead and get started.
If you want more food? But y'all working good? I'm waiting. Huh? I told him. I'm about to
Love the conversation. Keep going, guys. We got 45 more seconds.
Love and devotion, right? I put depression, love, and devotion, and I found the quote. It says, what's her name? I forgot her name. Ezekiel. Zema. No, not her mom. Before had suffered a good deal in her life. She had born 10 children, 9 of them had died, and before the age of 3.
10 more seconds.
It shows depression, love, and devotion. That's why she got so much love and devotion for this last chapter.
Because it's her last one. Gotcha.
So
What's the quote?
Because she's not.
Together in 3.
What's that?
Sound in 2. I need your eyes up here in 1. Okay, I heard some great conversations. I want to check in with some of these groups right now. Daryl, can you explain either what you got or what one of your group mates had? So again, one at a time. I'm going to cold call students. Make sure you're listening closely. Go ahead, Daryl.
I put danger, pain, and death. And the quote I put was the daughter was dying and the theme I put the wife had tragedy and sorrow on her voice and she was begging the door.
And can you explain to me, can you make that connection for me? You gave a great quote, you gave a great big idea that we're going to use for our theme. Can you explain how that's showing that big idea?
She's sick.
Hold on, one at a time, one at a time. It's Daryl's turn to talk. If you're talking, then you're interrupting. We can't be rude. Let's go.
I put she was sick and they were trying to help her.
Okay.
She was informing her they was sick.
Riley, do you want to expand on that a little bit?
yeah, I put sacrifice because Oquaco went out in the field to get the leaves and stuff to make medicine because Afifa, or I forgot to say her name, she was real sick.
I was
So, right, he had to go, like, go out there and save her.
What you think?
I guess it's basically.
What you think? What you think?
I just said my
All right, let's come together in 3.